from Dazn Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So Jermall Charlo, he went face-to-face with his next opponent for the first time, Dennis Hogan, and he had a lot to say after the press conference, talking about Dennis Hogan, and of course, talking about the guy that he really wants, which is Canelo Alvarez. You know, guys, I think it's really a shame because he was talking after the press conference. He did this interview with the media, and he said, people try to silence me when I talk about Canelo. But champions want to fight champions. I want to fight the best. This is what Jermall Charlo is saying. But the question is, why doesn't Canelo Alvarez feel the same way? Why doesn't Gennady Golovkin feel the same way? Why aren't they anxious to fight the best fighters in the middleweight division like Jermall Charlo is? That's a rhetorical question because we already know Canelo Alvarez, he actually gave up his WBC belt to avoid Jermall Charlo. He basically handed his belt over to Jermall Charlo, right? And we know Gennady Golovkin, he had Jermall Charlo as a mandatory for 2 years and he avoided him. But now that Golovkin is the IBF champion, he's already talking about fighting his IBF mandatory, which is a complete nobody. So you see how that works? When Charlo was the mandatory, he didn't fight him for 2 years. Now that his mandatory is someone that he considers an easy opponent, he's ready to fight him right away. So Jermall Charlo, he was asked if he would be willing to fight a Danny Jacobs. And Jermall, he said, yeah, I'll definitely fight him. He said, I'll sign a one-day contract with Dazn to make the fight. So clearly that means that he would be willing to sign a one-fight deal with Dazn to fight a Canelo or a Gennady Golovkin as well. So fans can't use that as an excuse. No one can use that as an excuse why Canelo Alvarez is avoiding Jermall Charlo. You know, guys, I want to go back to what I was saying earlier when I told you guys that Jermall Charlo, he was saying that people are trying to silence me. And I know exactly what he means because we know that Canelo Alvarez fans, they get upset when Jermall Charlo's name gets mentioned. They get upset when Demetrius Andrade's name gets mentioned as a possible opponent for Canelo Alvarez. And the crazy thing is both Charlo and Demetrius Andrade are champions at the middleweight division. You know, it's time for us to be realistic and not beat around the bush. Let's reverse the roles for a second. Because we know for a fact, let's completely play trading places for a second. Imagine if it was like an Errol Spence or a Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford, right? Let's just say he's the best pound for pound, the best welterweight in the world. And Terrence Crawford, he has 2 undefeated, really good, talented Mexican fighters that are in that division, and they're constantly calling out Terrence Crawford. We want Terrence. I want him. One of the Mexican champions, or one of the Mexican fighters, I should say, he's actually a mandatory for Terrence Crawford's belt. Now, let me ask you the question. How many fans think that Terrence Crawford would give up his belt to avoid one of these guys calling him out? You already know the answer. That's a rhetorical question. Let me ask you one more question, and I want you fans to be honest. If Terrence Crawford had these 2 talented, undefeated Mexican fighters calling him out, how many Terrence Crawford fans would be out there saying, oh, this is some BS. Why are these guys calling out Crawford? They don't deserve to fight Crawford, etc., etc. I don't want to see that fight. How many Crawford fans do you think would be saying that? Damn near zero. Because all of those fans will be saying, man, I cannot wait for Terrence Crawford to get in the ring with these guys calling him out. That is exactly what Crawford fans would say. It would be the complete contrary to what Canelo Alvarez fans are saying when it comes to Charlo and Andrade. So what does that tell you about these type of fans? It tells you that a lot of these fans that I'm talking about in particular, they have no confidence in Canelo's ability. They feel that those fights are too dangerous and they would rather their fighter duck that guy than risk losing to him. But if you feel that way, you're not a boxing fan, because boxing fans are supposed to want to see the best fight the best. In every other sport, you want to see the best teams go against the best teams, right? But it's only in boxing will you hear fans say, no, I don't want to see that fight. Because I always tell you, boxing is based on race, pride, and nationality. And if some of these fans see their favorite fighter losing, their pride takes a major blow. And they don't want to deal with that. They don't want to deal with that. At least this is how a lot of Canelo Alvarez fans feel. But realistically, I think it's time for these Canelo Alvarez fans to come out and be honest and start putting pressure on Canelo to do what's right for the sport of boxing. Now, I know when it comes to the Spanish boxing networks, they're starting to say the same things that I'm saying. Well, I won't even say they're starting to. They've been saying it for quite some time. I know Julio Cesar Chavez has always criticized Canelo, Juan Manuel Marquez, etc., etc., etc. They're just speaking the truth. You know, when, of course, you know, Canelo fans, they're going to try to say, oh, you know, those guys are just hating on Canelo, because this is tribal for them. This is more of gangbanging. This is more of being loyal to your gang. They're basically saying, okay, Marquez, okay, Chavez, we know you're right. We know you're making sense, but you're supposed to be loyal to the gang. And you're being disloyal by going out there and speaking the damn truth against our agenda. We know what time it is at the end of the day, guys. So I would say to Jermall Charlo, don't allow these fans to silence you, because that's what they want. They're hoping that this Jermall Charlo problem goes away. They're hoping that the Demetrius Andrade problem goes away and Canelo can continue to fight whoever he wants that damn near guarantees or comes close to guaranteeing him a win. But Jermall Charlo and Demetrius Andrade, they cannot allow that to happen. They can't allow that to happen. And once again, Canelo fans, if you guys are real boxing fans, you should want to see the best fight the best. I'm going to talk a lot more about this when we do the show this weekend. The radio show is coming back. Once again, I'll give you guys more details on some more videos to come. But I'm going to wrap this video up for now. Once again, Jermall Charlo, he's going to be facing Dennis Hogan December 7th. And one more thing, once again, the reason why he's fighting Dennis Hogan is because fighters like Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin, they won't get in the ring with him. I want to make this very clear because, of course, Canelo fans or Golovkin fans, they'll come out and they'll try to say, oh, well, why is he fighting Dennis Hogan? You have to understand something. There's a difference from a guy who's calling out who you guys would call the best. And this is the reason why I say you guys cannot have it both ways. Because if you truly believe that Canelo is the best at 160, then you can't criticize Jermall Charlo for who he's facing, because you already know that he's trying to call out the best fighters at 160, right? See, when it comes to a fighter like Gennady Golovkin, for example, he's not trying to call out the best fighters at 160. He only wants to fight Canelo. He doesn't want to fight Andrade. He doesn't want to fight Charlo. When it comes to Jermall Charlo, he's calling out Canelo. He's calling out Golovkin. When it comes to Demetrius Andrade, he's calling out Canelo. He's calling out Gennady Golovkin. So if they're calling out who you guys say are the best fighters at 160 and they don't want to get in the ring with them, then you can't criticize them for who they fight. Now, so you decals can really understand the perspective, let's reverse the roles. Imagine if it was Gennady Golovkin. He was aggressively calling out Demetrius Andrade, Jermall Charlo, Gennady Golovkin. He's calling all of them out, and none of them will get in the ring with him. So then he says, okay, forget it. I'm going to go ahead and fight this Steve Rose. See, if that was the circumstances, if that was the scenario, then you couldn't criticize Golovkin for getting in the ring with Steve Rose. But with Golovkin's situation, it's the complete opposite. He has the biggest sharks calling him out. He has the most dangerous fighters calling him out, and he says, no, I'm not going to fight a Charlo. I'm not going to fight an Andrade. Let me go ahead and fight Steve Rose. Do you guys see the difference? With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. Like I said, we're going to talk more about this topic on the live show this Sunday. That's all I got for now, guys. On to the next one.